Welcome back to Overhead Athletics. Max Wardell, one of our college guys here. He's going to be a JUCO stud. He's had a Bankart repair. So we're working on getting that shoulder motion back. And one of the things we're looking at is side-to-side motion. So go ahead and come up both sides here. You notice this right side comes up a little bit higher. That's actually a result of restriction in the shoulder. And one of the biggest things we see, go ahead and lay on your back. One of the biggest issues we see is a lack of full restoration of passive range of motion. You got to get all your range back after the surgery. And when it doesn't get returned or get back to where it should be, what ends up happening is you end up putting your shoulder in precarious positions, or there's excessive pull and tension in some different glide or motion inside the socket that eventually wears out the labrum, wears out the repair, or wears down on the rotator cuff. So that's why it's so important to get full range of motion back after. And what you see with Drew is he's got really good range. How many weeks out are you?
9.
9 weeks out, really good range, had a massive tear there, great shape, really good surgeon, and the shoulder's looking good, but we need to get all of that range of motion back. And we've just started doing some humeral head mobilizations towards the end range. They're like grade 2 mobs, just to get him more comfortable with that ball gliding in the direction we need it to glide. And he actually had about a 12-6 tear, but the shoulder's in good shape. He was throwing upper 80s, touching into the low 90s before with the tears in the labrum. So we're excited to see where you can get to after. And in this video, we're going to show you guys some of the exercises and some of the rehabilitation that we do when we have an athlete that's gone through this procedure. So it's been kind of slow up until this point, but now we're starting to work strengthening. We're starting to get the rotator cuff strong and really work on those end corners and ranges of motion. When that shoulder's stiff and you get the capsular tissue or you get some amount of soft tissues pulling on the ball, pulling on the socket in some direction, whatever direction that is, ultimately you end up with poor movement of the ball in the socket, and you end up with excessive shear loads or stresses on different parts of the shoulder. So long and short is you need to get the full motion back in the socket following any sort of surgical procedure. Right after we get done mobilizing here, we're going to spend a few more minutes doing this. We'll get out into a few of the exercises that you guys can actually be doing at home or use anytime post-operative Bankart repair once you're cleared in your protocol. We've got a little circuit here that we like to do. He's only 9 weeks out, so we're going to do a scaption motion here, go up, and then he's resisting that band a little wider. Good. And we've seen EMG studies that show that this is a really effective exercise for the back of the rotator cuff, which is really what we want. We want to hit all aspects of the rotator cuff, so we're going to hit the top and the back by having a weight in the hands and the band here. Really effective exercise for us. But also here, what we're doing at the same time is we're working on that active range of motion and trying to see what we can get out of the shoulder without compensation. So we'll hit a higher rep set here, and then we're going to move into a quadruped variation where he's going to work on a T motion, get all the muscles around the shoulder blade strong. So let's jump right into that. Now what we're doing here is come up a little bit higher, right this way. Good. And then he's squeezing the shoulder blade together with the other side, so he's retracting maximally. Come up a little bit more. You notice if he starts to go down, he's going to compensate with the shoulder, so we want him in a perfect line across from one shoulder to the other shoulder joint and across. And he's hitting those T's. So we're working just a minimal amount of core stability here, a lot of shoulder strength for somebody who just went through surgery. And this is one we'll use all the time in our other athletes who are healthy as well. Try to do it without twisting your chest. So he wants to rotate that chest, and even if you don't even come back all the way to center and you just come to there, that's still good. So he can hit a pulse there too, and you can see all those muscles around the shoulder blade working. So now we're working the back of the shoulder. The one thing we're careful of is that we're not coming too high with the arm. Working the back of the shoulder, muscles around the shoulder blade, which often become weak after a surgical procedure. And then we're going to bump this into an internal rotation exercise, and that's one of the more difficult areas to train after you've had a huge surgery in the front of the shoulder. So we're going to jump right over to that. Grab or a fist on the ball, either way is cool. Posture's good, shoulders down and back, and he's just going to crush into this ball, this Pilates ball on the wall here, as much as he feels comfortable. So he has to maintain his posture here, and we don't want him to push so hard that he elicits pain, but we're going to make sure that elbow is not behind his body at the same time. 3 key moves that we're utilizing for our Bankart repairs. I like higher reps on the first 2 to get used to some shoulder motion, and as he starts to tolerate better ranges of motion, we'll move into more loaded style exercises. Nice thing about the isometric here is we're going to do 10-second holds, and he can do this for 10 to 20 repetitions, and then we can progress that up to a 90-degree position once that shoulder becomes more stable. Ultimately, you need to protect the shoulder, allow it to stabilize after a shoulder surgical procedure. Any sort of labral procedure, you want stability in the shoulder, but we need to return normal motion inside the socket and strength 3-dimensionally. If you guys like this video, hit the subscribe, thumbs up button, and we'll see you guys in the next one.